Mr. Bo Cheng Jing says, will the Alberta border be open to welcome new immigrants?
Welcome back to the Canada Info Hub channel, where I share all the information about Canada and life in Canada, immigrating to Canada, and everything that you need to know. And my name is Wolo. I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And yeah, so if you are just seeing this video, please just destroy the like button. Yes. Today's video is about Alberta, and I'm sure you must have seen part of the clip that I showed you at the beginning of this video, and I will be talking about what it is. So they had a Facebook Live with the Premier of Alberta, and on that Facebook Live they announced some, will I say announce? I won't say announce. He just mentioned that, the Premier mentioned that there will be some slight changes to the immigration program. That's the Alberta Immigration Nominee Program. So for those of you who are expecting to get a nomination for Alberta, you just have to be aware that there might be changes coming soon, and you have to take note of those changes. The thing is, Alberta has been hit hard because of this pandemic, and Alberta used to be one of the very, very rich provinces that contributes to the federal government coffers, and the oil and gas sector has been hit hard because they have been the ones sustaining the economy of Alberta. And the 2014-2015 downturn of the oil and gas industry affected the economy. It was just coming up a little bit as at last year, between 2018 last year, and then now we have this pandemic in 2020, which has affected the economy again, and lots of oil and gas companies have shut down. Some of them have moved their headquarters from Calgary to Texas. Some of them have, laid off a lot of workers, and you have the unemployment rate at a very high level in Alberta. So what the Premier is actually trying to do is to conserve the little, will I say, industries that can still employ people living in Alberta, so that the unemployment rate can reduce. They're trying to conserve that for people living in Alberta, so that people do not, move from the province to another province in search for a job, because it's quite difficult to actually move from one province to another. It's not that easy. I used to think it was that easy to just come to one province and then establish yourself, and next thing you're moving to the next province. It's not that easy, especially if you have to sell your house, you have to do a lot of things, look for school for your children, look for daycare and stuff like that. So it's very difficult for people to just uproot themselves and move to another province. That's why they are trying to see how they can conserve the opportunities available in that province for the people living in the province. So as a result of that, it's going to actually affect immigration, in the sense that they might reduce the intake of immigration. Like I said, they are going to make announcements in the coming weeks. I'm not sure of when, but just keep your ears opened, and once they make that announcement, I'll also publish it on this channel. As usual, I usually publish whatever updates I have about immigration on this channel. So I'll be showing you part of the remaining part of the video, where they were talking about the things happening in Alberta, and then the immigration part of it, so that you hear it for yourself. And then after that, I will let you know what you should be doing in case you were targeting Alberta just to get a provincial nomination from
immigrants for their initial landing, the ones who have the Alberta provincial nomination and want to start their lives in Alberta. Thank you. The simple answer is that people can still come to Canada, but they have to be essential. Well, why don't you? I'll give it over to you, Jason, because part of what we do is limited by the federal government travel restrictions. We continue to receive newcomers, but obviously it's much more difficult for people to travel internationally. Jason.
You're quite right, Premier. There is some. We are governed by what the federal government has put in, so there's difficulty for people to travel. There's been some exceptions made. For example, with temporary foreign workers, they are permitted to come in, and we continue to work with the federal government to ensure that when they arrive, that they know they have to isolate for 2 weeks, and the federal government has also provided support for temporary foreign workers, particularly seasonal workers in the agricultural sector, to ensure that those bringing them in can have the right location for them to do the self-isolation. We've also made changes for our own program in regards to changes to the application process, recognizing that people are in the middle of applications and may not have received the final certificates. And
you mean under the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program?
Yeah, the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program. Thank you, Premier. They may not have received the certificates, so allowing more flexibility to make those applications. But I would suggest continue to watch what the federal government, the guidelines they're putting out in terms of being able people to move, because we are governed. At the end of the day, we are governed by those travel restrictions for people to come here. Our program is still accepting applications.
And Minister Copley and I will have an announcement to make about some changes in this regard coming up, because of the travel restrictions, fewer people will be coming. We can accommodate fewer numbers, and also because of the economic crisis. To be blunt, we want to. I'll just say it. We want to put more pressure on Alberta employers to do everything it possibly can to look within Alberta to the huge and growing number of unemployed people for jobs here, and that includes new Albertans. And so just stay tuned for an announcement on that in the days to come.
Okay, so that was the video. Alberta does not actually have an occupation in demand list, but they have actually been, giving people nomination from the express entry pool. So you do not just apply to Alberta for a provincial nomination. You have to you must have created an express entry profile, and then based on your comprehensive ranking scores and based on the demand of their labor market, they now go into the express entry pool, search for people who meet their demands, and then give those people a notification of interest to submit an application to Alberta for a provincial nomination. So because of what is happening, because of this pandemic, they've decided to slow down on the nominations, and the last draw that was done was actually for people who were already living in Alberta. Those are the people that were given notification of interest to apply for a provincial nomination from Alberta. As a result of what is actually happening, COVID-19, that means anybody who is expecting a provincial nomination from Alberta, you should start looking for another province where you can actually get provincial nominations from. We all know what is actually happening recently with the express entry draws. It's only been Canadian experience class and people with provincial nominations that have been getting an invitation to apply for the federal express entry draws. So you should not limit yourself to Alberta. Provinces like Nova Scotia actually did a draw where they invited nurses, and Ontario also did a draw. So these two provinces have actually still been giving provincial nominations to applicants outside Canada. And the other provinces like Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Manitoba has actually been giving nominations to people who are in Canada, and then people who have job offers, even though they're outside Canada, people who have job offers under the Strategic Recruitment Initiative, they've still been getting provincial nominations. Then for Saskatchewan, it's been on hold. We've not seen any draw from them since. The other provinces like New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island did a draw, but it was specifically for people who were living already in Prince Edward Island. So all these provinces, they've actually scaled back on giving provincial nominations. So far, only Ontario and Nova Scotia have actually given provincial nominations to people outside of Canada. So this is the information I want to share today, and I'll request that you still smash the like button. Yes, destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and share this video to your friends and family. And I'll be sharing more updates as the days goes by. As I get this news, I'll be pushing them out so that you are aware of what is actually happening when it comes to immigrating to Canada and life in Canada. And one more thing I want to say, this is what New Brunswick did. New Brunswick actually banned temporary foreign workers from coming to work in New Brunswick, and they couldn't find anybody to do the jobs. And then at the end of the day, they still had to allow those temporary foreign workers to come into Canada. And Alberta was to also do the same thing by limiting the number of provincial nominations they give people outside Canada so that they can conserve the job opportunities for people inside Canada. But I tell you the truth, there are so many jobs many Canadians are not willing to do. And if you know what is happening, guess what? They actually had to deploy the military to start working in how will I call it now, home, is it in the homes of seniors, because Canada has different homes for senior people who are aged and families cannot take care of them, so there are people who take care of them. There are people who are not willing to do these jobs. There are so many jobs in Canada that people are not willing to do, and they had to deploy the military to do these jobs. I'll be talking about this in a separate video, and also, show you a picture of where Trudeau was announcing that there are about 44,000 jobs in certain sectors, and was imploring people to pick up these jobs. But that's one thing about Canada, there are so many jobs outside where people are not willing to pick up these jobs, yet they will say they don't want temporary foreign workers or they don't want immigrants. And at the end of the day, when they see that nobody is picking up these jobs within Canada, they will still relax their rules and bring in foreign workers to come and do these jobs. So I will bring you an update shortly once they, make a concrete announcement concerning immigration provincial nomination for Alberta. I'll let you know what the announcement is about. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye bye.